So, you found out your kibby body type, but now you don't know what the heck that means. Come on in my closet. Let me help you. Hey, you. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sophia, and this is What I Wore to the Store, a place where I help women get dressed to go to everyday, regular, degular places. I help women learn their personal style so that they can dress like them. I'm never going to teach you how to dress like me because you might not even like my personal style, but I can still give you the tips so that you can enhance your own personal style or even discover your own personal style. Why? It's fun. All right, so you're probably here because you took the Kibby test and you found out your body type. It's a soft dramatic, or a soft classic, or a gamine, or theatrical romantic, soft natural, dramatic. You have no clue what it is, and you need just a little bit more help solidifying what your body type is. Well, that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to help you figure out those little nuances in the body types so that the next video, you are locked and loaded and ready to find out what the heck to wear for the winter. Yeah, that's why I'm wearing this big old sweater, because it's cold. It's freezing outside and it's snowing. Little disclaimer, you may have one or two things that are slightly outside of your body image identity that you discovered during the test. That's okay. You're still likely that thing. But we all have one or two things that's like, no, my head doesn't look small, or my head does look small, or I do have an hourglass and I am a dramatic. Just keep going. It's fine. But hopefully this will help you be able to enhance your personal style, and you won't have to just stick to these things like, well, David Kibby said. Use this as a foundation to get you started, and then you can take this and run, baby. Okay? All right, let's get started. Let's begin with the dramatic physical profile. Height. Moderate to tall, usually 5 feet 5 inches and over. Body type. Straight and angular. May tend to long or sleek musculature, sinewy or lithe. Usually have long legs and arms, narrow in width. Bone structure. Angular with sharp edges, usually have square shoulders, may be narrow. Hands and feet are usually long and narrow. Facial bones are sharp and prominent, nose, jawline, and cheekbones. Sometimes the bone structure is called delicate because of its narrowness. This is actually not true, for the extreme length keeps it from being truly delicate. A more helpful description would be sleek. Facial features. Straight, sleek lines. Sloped or almond eyes. Narrow, thin, or straight lips. Taut skin, especially around the cheek and jaw areas. Hair. Extreme texture. Fine and silky, either poker straight or with a bend, very coarse or curly or wavy, wild. Coloring. Any coloring is possible, warm or cool, high contrast or blended, but a dramatic is distinct, either very fair, very fiery, or very vivid. If overweight, heaviness usually congregates around the hip and upper thigh area as opposed to the upper torso. A dramatic will not have an hourglass figure, have lush facial features, round eyes, fleshy cheeks, full lips. A dramatic will not have broad or blunt bone structure or facial bones. A dramatic won't be petite or extremely small in stature, or be perfectly symmetrical. A dramatic won't have short or fleshy arms and legs. The soft dramatic. Height, moderate to tall, usually 5 feet 5 inches and over, similar to the regular dramatic. Body type, fleshy unless ultra thin, particularly through the bust and hip area. Usually have long legs and arms, which can become fleshy in the upper arm and thigh areas without exercise. Usually soft dramatics have a moderate-sized waist, which can become thick when overweight. Bone structure, large and angular, long limbs and large hands and feet, may be long and narrow or wide. Facial bones are prominent and sharp, nose, cheekbones, jawline. If your bone structure is narrow, particularly the shoulders, hands, feet, wrist, or ankles, you may think of yourself as delicate. This is actually not true, for the extreme length offsets the narrowness. Facial features: full, lush, sensual, and exotic. Large eyes, full lips, fleshy cheeks. Hair: extreme textures, coarse and wavy or fine and silky, wispy even. Coloring: any coloring is possible. Warm or cool, high contrast or blended, but a soft dramatic is usually distinct, either fair, rich, or vivid. If overweight, heaviness is usually seen at the fleshiest part of the body, like the bust, hips, waist, thighs, upper arms, and especially in the face. A soft dramatic will not have a boyish figure, have small hands and feet, or a delicate bone structure. Soft dramatics won't be overly petite or small in stature with short limbs. They won't have delicate or small facial features, or be symmetrical in body type or facial characteristics. Romantic. Height: moderate to petite, usually 5 feet 5 inches and under. Body type: soft and voluptuous. Hourglass figure, curvy bust line and hips with a small waist in proportion to the curves. Fleshy arms and legs. Bone structure: delicate and smallish, usually to the wide side. Rounded or sloped shoulders. Small hands and feet, may be slightly wide. Facial bones are small, delicate, and may be slightly wide or lush. Nose, cheekbones, and jawline. If your bone structure is slightly wide or lush, you may think of yourself as having a large bone structure. This is usually deceiving to you, for the shortness of your limbs and extremities, hands and feet, offsets the width. In context of your overall voluptuous figure, your bone structure is definitely delicate. Facial features: lush, full, and sensual, rounded. Large, luminous eyes, full lips, fleshy cheeks. Hair: soft and luxurious, may be silky and wispy or thick and wavy or curly. Coloring: any coloring, warm or cool, high contrast, or blended is possible, but a romantic usually has a delicate skin tone that is luminous or translucent. If overweight, the body only gets more rounded, the face gets very full. A romantic will not be extremely tall, have a large bone structure or large hands and feet, have a straight or boyish figure, have angular or sharp facial features, have a prominent nose or angular chin, or be symmetrical. Theatrical romantic. Height: moderate to petite, usually 5 feet 5 inches and under. Body type: soft and voluptuous, although trim and smallish as opposed to wide and bulky. Hourglass figure, curvy bust line and hips with a waspish waist, soft or fleshy arms and legs. Bone structure: small and delicate, slightly sharp edges, shoulders, jawline, cheekbones, or nose, small hands and feet in proportion to the height. Facial bones are small, delicate, and slightly sharp. Facial features: soft and lush. Large luminous eyes, sometimes slightly upturned, sometimes slightly bedroom. Full luscious lips, soft cheeks. Hair: soft and luxurious to the touch, may be very silky and wispy or thick and wavy or curly. Coloring: any coloring is possible, warm or cool, high contrast, or blended. But a theatrical romantic usually is quite vivid with a delicate complexion that is luminous or translucent. If overweight, the figure will remain hourglass with a defined waist. Upper arms, thighs, and face will become quite fleshy. A theatrical romantic will not be extremely tall, have large or wide bones, have large hands and feet, extremely prominent facial bones or features, have small, narrow eyes or thin or straight lips, have a boyish straight figure, devoid of a defined waist. Dramatic classic. Height: moderate up to 5'7" inches. Bone structure: symmetrical with slightly angular edges. Straight and slightly wide. Shoulders are tapered or slightly square, usually narrow. Slightly squarish hands and feet. Slightly sharp, angular, or squarish. Slightly sharp, angular, or squarish facial contours like the jawline, nose, and cheekbones. Body type, fairly trim and compact when at an ideal weight. Slightly muscular with an ideal weight. Bust line, waist, and hips are somewhat straight and in even proportion with an ideal weight. On occasion, slightly short-waisted. Legs and arms tend to be average or slightly long. Your body type will seem to radically change when you gain weight, even a little weight. This is actually an illusion because your bone structure remains the same. Facial features, usually moderate to large eyes, moderate lips. Hair, may be thick and straight or fine and silky, but rarely coarse, possibly wavy and curly. Coloring, any coloring is possible, warm or cool, high contrast, or blended. If overweight, excess weight shows up right away and collects from the waist down. You seem to gain weight in the hips and thighs. You rarely gain weight around the bust line. The heavier you get, the more pear-shaped you become. A dramatic classic will not have extremely long limbs, have extremely exotic or overly lush facial features, have extremely large bones or extremely large hands and feet, have an hourglass figure, have delicate bones or extremely small hands and feet, have a boyish or straight figure. The soft classic, height, moderate, up to 5 feet 6 inches. Bone structure, symmetrical with soft and slightly rounded edges, straight and slightly delicate, maybe small and slightly wide, but with soft edges, not square. Shoulders are tapered or slightly sloped. Facial contours are slightly small and wide, like the nose, cheekbones, and jawline. Hands and feet tend to be moderate to small and slightly wide. Body type, slightly rounded, tends to slight fleshiness. Soft arms, thighs, and waistline. Evenly proportioned bust, waist, and hips. Possibly of being slightly short-waisted. Arms and legs tend to be moderate to short in proportion to height. Facial features, soft and full, slightly fleshy. Large eyes, soft cheeks, full lips, symmetrical and evenly spaced. Hair, any texture is possible, but it usually tends to be wispy if straight. Coloring, any coloring is possible, warm or cool, but soft classics usually tend towards blended or low contrast coloring with a delicate skin tone. Occasionally, a soft classic will have high contrast coloring, but it still tends toward an overall subtlety as opposed to sharpness. If overweight, body becomes very soft, facial features become very fleshy. A thickish look is usually the result of excess weight. The waist is first to lose any definition. A soft classic will not have a large or angular bone structure, have exotic or prominent facial features or characteristics, have a boyish or muscular body type, have a true hourglass figure with a waspish waist, be tall, have extremely petite or small boned with extra delicate hands and feet. Soft naturals, height, moderate to slightly small, up to 5 feet 7 inches. Bone structure, slightly angular bones, slightly square or broad shoulders. Moderate to slightly short limbs, slightly leggy look is also possible. Slightly blunt or small and irregular facial contours, nose, cheekbones, and jawline. Hands and feet are moderate and fleshy, or usually small and wide. Body type, slightly soft, tends to fleshiness. Slightly small waist that's in proportion to bust and hips. Slightly curvy, tends to an hourglass shape, but not extremely so. Slightly fleshy upper arms and thighs. Facial features, full and rounded. Round eyes, full lips, soft cheeks. Nose tends to be small and wide or slightly irregular, blunt or wide. Hair, any texture is possible, but it tends towards softness. If the hair is straight, it's usually fine and wispy. If wavy and curly, it's usually silky as opposed to coarse. Coloring, any coloring is possible, warm or cool, but a soft natural usually has a somewhat blended coloring, although occasionally high contrast coloring is also found. Skin tone tends to be somewhat delicate and luminous, and freckles in the sun or gently tans after an initial slight burn. If overweight, body weight tends to become extremely soft and fleshy with the waist thickening. The upper arms, thighs, and hips tend to collect excess weight and cellulite most rapidly. A soft natural will not have an extremely straight body type, have extremely sharp features, have extremely sharp bone structure, be extremely tall, have an extremely large or broad bone structure, be symmetrical in body type and facial features. The flamboyant gamine. Height, 5 feet 6 inches and under. Bone structure, broadly angular. Square shoulders, slightly wide bones. Large hands and feet in proportion to height. If very petite, hands and feet tend to be short but wide and square. Slightly sharp or broad facial contours, nose, jawline, cheekbones. Arms and legs may be long in proportion to height. If very petite, they appear to be slightly squarish. Facial contours tend to be broad, nose, cheekbones, and jawline. Body type, very defined musculature unless overweight, lean and strong. Straight lines, flat bust line and hips, unless overweight. Tendency towards a leggy look, cultish. Facial features. Usually have extreme large eyes. Usually have a broad or long facial shape. May be very round or slightly oblong. Facial flesh tends to be taut, unless overweight. Lips are frequently moderate to full. Hair. Any type of hair is possible, but texture tends to be extreme, either very fine and straight or very thick, wavy, and curly. Coloring. Any type of coloring is possible, warm or cool, but flamboyant gamines tend to be distinctive, very fair, very fiery, or very vivid. If overweight, body tends to become stocky and square. Excess weight usually collects from the waist down, rarely above. Arms and legs tend to be thick, as does the waist and hip area. Face may become very puffy and fleshy. A flamboyant gamine will not be tall, have extremely exotic facial features or characteristics, except for extremely large eyes, have a delicate bone structure with small hands and feet in proportion to height, have an hourglass figure with a waspish waist and curvy hips and bust line. Even when overweight, the bone structure gives a more squarish shape. A flamboyant gamine won't be symmetrical in body type or facial features. The soft gamine. Height, under 5 feet 5 inches, usually very petite. Bone structure, delicate and small, yet slightly broad and angular. Angular edges, particularly through the shoulders, square or tapered. Small hands and feet, may be slightly wide or fleshy. Delicately broad facial contours, like the nose, cheekbones, and jawline, which may have extra bits of angularity. Arms and legs tend to be shortish in proportion to height. Body type, soft, curvy body, tends towards fleshiness. Curved bust line and hips with some natural waist definition. Arms and legs tend to be soft and fleshy, particularly through the hip and thigh areas. Facial features, doll-like facial features. Saucer eyes, round and fleshy cheeks, full lips. Facial shape may be very rounded, and it can have a slightly sharp or slightly strong jawline. Hair. Any hair type is possible, but texture is usually soft, silky, if fine, wispy, if thick, and curly or wavy. Coloring. Any coloring is possible, warm or cool. High contrast or blended. But soft gamines usually have a delicate skin tone that is luminous or translucent. If overweight, body tends to get very rounded as the weight collects mainly in the bust and hip area. Arms and thighs may get very soft and face tends to become quite fleshy. It is common for soft gamines to feel overweight even when they aren't because of the extreme roundness shape of their body paired with the short limbs. A soft gamine will not be tall, have a rail thin or extremely straight body type, have a large or broad bone structure, have large hands and feet or exotic facial features, be symmetrical in body type, bone structure, or facial features, or have sharp bone structure. All right, you guys, I hope you are feeling a little bit more secure about what your body type is. And next week, we're going to put all of that information to work because we're going to be discussing how to dress for your specific body type for the winter. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you know when I upload, because it might be a surprise because I still don't have a solid schedule yet. We're working on that. But I think Sundays will be a definite day. We're going to go with Sundays. All right. Don't forget to be you and be the most you could ever be, because everybody else is taken. What are you still doing here? Oh, I know what you're waiting for. Denim, 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 denim. If you don't know about that, I have a hefty stack of denim jeans here because I have been collecting jeans for a very long periodically time. And what I do in this segment is I choose a random pair of jeans to put on in style for you because I just don't want to leave you with just information overload. Let's play dress up in clothes because being a girl is fun. Being a guy might be, but it don't look like it. I already have a pair of jeans I have in mind. We're going to choose this pair right here. This pair is an altered state pair of extremely flare bell-bottom jeans. And I'm choosing this because I've been styling like regular shaped denim and I just want to switch things up for you. Actually, it kind of goes with the sweater a little bit. Anyway, I'll be right back. This is me in the altered state, bootleg, flare, whatever you want to call them, jeans and the gray sweater that I already had on. And it really does look good with gray because the black that's in these jeans is kind of faded. Trying to show you my shoes. They're just some boots because these jeans are really long. I put on a button-down denim shirt because I just like denim. And a coat because it's cold, and my everyday purse. I wear this purse all the time. And you guys, this is literally how I would go to the store. Just like this. All right, bye.